So if we can move on, please.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. I'll now move on to C. Okay. The committee previously indicated its support of the introduction of new charges at Seaton Crewe from the 1st of April to the 31st of October. All parking in these locations is currently free, and in addition, it was indicated that charging for on-street parking bays would also be introduced at appropriate sections of the seafront highway. Members were informed that a detailed feasibility study would be required, and we were asked to come back with the details of that. We've met with the ward councillors and myself, Chair, and a number of officers, and the proposals are set out on the parking plan attached to Appendix A, but also located on various walls around the room. The parking plan outlines the area for the seafront highway, which will potentially be designated as on-street public parking ways, prohibited parking areas, and also zones to be designated for resident and business permit use only. Reference is also made to a number of other streets close to the seafront where it is proposed to introduce resident-only schemes which will address existing issues that have been highlighted and presented to ward councillors. These measures will provide protection for any displacement of vehicles arising as a result of the new parking charges. Members will note that from the plan that it is proposed to introduce residential parking in the Crawford Street, Church Street area at the south end of Seaton Crewe and in several streets to the north of Station Lane. In addition to the above, it is proposed that zones combining resident parking and pay and display are introduced along various points along the front of the cliff and Coronation Drive. It is considered that some vehicle displacement may also extend as far as Elizabeth Way and to the vicinity of Seaton Crewe Cricket Club. The issue of parked vehicles along this route, specifically at a weekend, has been highlighted by ward councillors as posing a safety risk to pedestrians attempting to cross the roads. There are several options that could be pursued to deal with this, and the introduction of a combination of parking restrictions and residential parking should be considered, and further analysis is required though before this is actually presented to members as an appropriate solution to be presented to members. Following our meeting in December when car parking was previously considered, some businesses in the area expressed some concerns regarding the potential impact of trade from introducing charges, the possible removal of existing waiting zones used by drop-in customers, and the prospect of employees not being able to park in an location that was convenient to their workspace. The parking plan proposes that the existing limited waiting zones situated near the main area of the shops, takeaway and businesses are retained, and that the free parking time allowed is increased from the current 20 minutes to 30 minutes. And dedicated parking bays have also been incorporated into the plan, and these will be made available to local businesses in arrangements to those similar to operate within the town centre. Given that the proposed parking restrictions are to be introduced will be on an experimental 7-month trial basis, it is proposed to offer permits within the residential and permit control zones free of charge. Residents identified with the new proposed resident control permit parking areas will be offered 2 permits per household, with the option to apply for additional permits at the recently introduced incremental permit charge rate. Businesses will also be offered the chance of an allocated designated business parking space, which will be provided free of charge during the experimental trial period. In the event and after review, the scheme should continue. Both resident permit charges and business permit charges will be offered at the charge consistent with other established permanent areas across the town. The question of whether to introduce charges at the car park within Seaton Park has also been considered as part of the feasibility study. Although not on the coastal route itself, it is nevertheless in sufficient proximity to the seafront, and therefore could be detrimental to the use of park facilities for those who visit the children's play area and the library. On balance, it is felt that the Seaton car park should remain free of charge. However, we do recognise that there could be displacement of vehicles, and therefore light control measures would need to be introduced to reduce the possibility of this car park becoming congested, and a clock disc system would be introduced. This would allow time-restricted free parking, and these discs would be made available to anyone who wishes to obtain one at no cost. A time limit of 1 hour's parking would be suggested. Enforcement of the new parking restrictions will require additional patrols in order to make enforcement effective. Civil enforcement officers in Hartlepool now have a generic role which allows them to address both traffic and enforcement issues. And as such, the additional resource on weekend patrols will provide an increased officer presence at Seaton and allow enforcement of littering, dog control orders and dog fouling concerns, which historically increased during the summer period. Section 6 of the report check talks about the parking charges for Seaton Crew. Table 2 provides some benchmarking information for members to consider, which demonstrates the analysis undertaken. You will see that there are 2 models currently in place across the region. North Tyneside operates a rise incrementally based on the length of service, where others provide an all-day rate, for example in Redcar. It is proposed that the parking charges to be applied at Seaton Carew would incorporate elements of both models, and it is therefore the introduction of a simple 3-band tariff system is recommended. So what we are recommending is £1 for 2 hours, which is in line with everything that's been agreed across the whole of the town. £1.50 if you were to stay up to 4 hours, and £2 if you were there for more than 4 hours, Chair. Sorry, I'm going to say that again. £1 for up to 2 hours, £1.50 between 2 and 4 hours, and £2 for more than 4 hours. Members are reminded that the introduction of the new tariff rates, on-street parking bays, zoning and restrictions require traffic regulation orders to be formally advertised by the Chief Solicitor. And in relation to Seaton Carew, it is proposed that an experimental traffic regulation order is placed, which will cover the planned changes. This would enable all aspects of the scheme approved by the committee to be implemented on a temporary basis. Members previously determined that the impact of the proposed changes to Seaton Carew would be determined at the end of this period, and it is suggested that the experimental order is drafted to cover the summer season, which will be, as previously said, and will conclude in October. We are aware of concerns from the public, some from here today, and also a petition, and also other correspondence that we've received. And therefore we are suggesting that we meet and hold consultation meetings regularly throughout the experimental term period, so that if there are any real major issues that are coming through the thing, we can address them immediately. We can also take on board the concerns of residents to enable us to undertake an evaluation quickly to present to members as soon as possible following the end of the temporary order. The parking plan, I do believe, does address some of the concerns that we have received. The introduction of resident-only zones in streets will address some of the displacement concerns that have been expressed. Parts of the seafront will be designated as prohibited parking, i.e. yellow lines. Members will be fully aware that actually the yellow lines only cover the street and the road. They also cover the pavement and also the grassed area. So if somebody tries to drive over the yellow lines and goes onto the grassed area, they will also be subject to fine, because the yellow line protects the whole of that area. And the intention is to retain and extend the limited waiting zones used by the drop-in at where the shops and the businesses are, from 20 minutes to 30 minutes, and also create some business parking which will help alleviate the concerns for businesses. The financial considerations are set out in the report, but members are fully aware of them, so I'm not proposing to go into them. And there are a number of recommendations which I think we should go through separately, Chair, but obviously take the lead from you, and they're set out in section 16 of the report. I sent the report to members to debate.
Do you want to come back to the table now, Pam? You as well? What do you want to do with that now?
Let Pam go first. She always goes first.
Have you done a study about the businesses there, and now that the business owners and the staff are going to have to pay, it's going to come out of their salaries, even the part-time staff, that they're going to now have to pay to be there 4 or 5 hours or a day. That's going to come out of their salaries. Have you given any consideration to that at all?
Can I just say directly, yeah, I mean Denise can answer as well. the fact of the matter, yes, we have given that consideration. Parking charges right across Hartlepool come out of people's salaries or businesses, depending on which permit area that they're in. So at the end of the day, it's exactly the same at Seaton Carew. We do appreciate the fact that at the moment they don't pay anything.
Yeah, and a lot of
Right,
it's seasonal.
we appreciate that they don't pay anything at all at the moment for car parking, and that this is a change, but other businesses do pay and are paying, and staff who work in those businesses do pay and are paying.
Okay,
Denise, do you want to
Yeah.
respond?
I fully understand what you're saying. Pam, was it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't give a bit of you. The businesses, what we're actually proposing is free parking bays for the businesses, for the staff to use during this trial period, so that they won't have to pay anything. Then we'll do the evaluation at the end of it. And if the evaluation becomes a permanent thing, then obviously they would have to pay alongside you do as any other business or any other organisation or business in the town.
yeah, with respect, I don't think there's any single one of us that believes this is going to be a temporary measure. Once it's in, it's in. And have you got an exit plan? Let's say after the 7 months, it's an absolute disaster, businesses are closing all across Seaton. How much is it going to cost for you to revert Seaton the way it was? Have you even considered that?
Can I just say that you're asking, the answers to those questions are actually in the report. We've actually said that it will be done on an experimental order that covers 7 months, from the 1st of April to the 31st of October. During and after that period, and taking into account the representation that had already been made through one mechanism or another, we will come to a conclusion that will come back to our committee here, it will be discussed in the autumn, and we will make a decision as to whether things need to be changed, whether they need to be relaxed, whether they need to be spread wider, whether they need to be removed altogether. Those decisions will be made, but they will be made not on an assumption that businesses will close all over Seaton, or that residents won't like it because they'll have to pay a small amount of money, or that there are problems. Nobody, neither you nor I, know what the impact will be.
But have you costed how much it is to remove everything?
Yes, that will be dealt with at the time that the report comes, and yes, there is a fair guesstimate at the moment of what that might cost. But what I'm saying here is no one, neither you nor I, or anyone else sat in this room, knows at this moment in time which streets will benefit, which streets won't, which streets will need to be able to have it, how much the car parking may or may not make a difference. No one knows that, which is why over that 7-month trial period, consultation will happen with residents and businesses and any other interested parties. And we will discuss those things face to face over that period of time, and at the end of that period there will be a full review that will come back to the committee.
Just in addition, what the businesses were saying was don't remove the free drop-off zone, because you get a lot of it's the chip shops and stuff like that, and you get those trades, you get
And we're actually extending
we're
that.
extending that, taking on board their comments. We do meet with the businesses, we have very special groups for the businesses, so we are consulting with them.
Yeah, because you'll easily wait over 30 minutes to get into the fish and chip shops at Seaton, that's for certain. Well, let me ask you this. There's very few things families in Hartlepool can do for free. So under your scheme, can a family, not very well off, but they've got a little car, they'll get themselves some sandwiches and some drinks, can they then go down to Seaton, park their car and have a nice free day on the beach under your scheme?
Not for all day, no.
Right, so that's a fail.
If you're including the car park. No, I don't see that.
It is, because
I really don't want to get into an argument on this issue. At the end of the day, the charges are minimal. They meet the targets where it's necessary, so they're not a blanket of Seaton Carew. They are targeted on the seafront in the main, and at the end of the day those car parks do cost money to be maintained. At the moment they make no contribution to those costs, and so the beach is free, And I think that the bit of Hartlepool that is not being taken into account at all is that there are still a large number of residents from Hartlepool in particular that go to Seaton Carew by bus.
Yes,
They pay bus fares. They pay bus fares. So they're not being taken into account here at all.
yes, but once they get there on the bus, they're not going to be saying, how long have we got, how long have we got, who's got some change, let's go feed the meter or
Pound for
whatever.
2 hours, £1.50 for up to 4, and £2 for all day is, in my view, comparable actually with a bus fare. In fact, it's probably less than a bus fare.
You know, it's cost and value and the price of freedom at the end of the day. And I just hope it's reflected in the ballot box.
Well, so do I. Right. Mr. Gooderham.
Thank you.
Well, I've got some good news for you, and that is the survey that we're talking about carrying out at the end of this 7-month trial, we've already done. And we've got 3,500 people who say it's a bad idea and they don't want it. So can the council tell me that at this stage they choose to totally disregard the wishes of 3,500 members of the electorate?
We haven't said that. We've said that we will take that into account along with all of the representations that have come in. And at the moment, as I've already said, there is no one in this room that knows, hand on heart, what the outcome will be at the end of the 7 months, because the 7 months have not yet taken place.
Do you really believe that increasing the cost to visit Seaton Carew is going to grow the business? Since time immemorial, every time a tax rate or a levy is imposed, revenues fall. Yes, Hartlepool Borough Council may be generating additional revenues for a short period of time, but overall, this will impact the businesses. I've been down to Seaton Carew, and I've talked to every single business owner. Not one of them think this is a good idea. And if the council truly represents the electorate, then they should listen to the 3,500 voices. Some of them signed on fish and chip paper, for goodness sake, because we ran out of petition forms. That's for strength of feeling. Let me just take you to another book, an interesting point. In 1770, income tax was introduced as a temporary measure to fund the Napoleonic War. We're still paying it. I guarantee, in fact, I would bet my mortgage on the fact that come the 7 months, this will continue. And I'll tell you for why. Because you do not have a plan. You've costed out a plan for putting it in, for the yellow lines, for the wardens, for the equipment, everything. You have not costed in what it's going to take all those out. If you were serious about this being a 7-month trial, those costs will be detailed in your proposal. They are not. So I would ask the council, before you even go any further with this, at the very least you delay the introduction until you have a fully costed proposal for removing the equipment.
Thank you for your comments. Councillor Skinner. Springer. Do you want to come to the table? Do you want to replace Mr. Woodruff and come to the table?
He's getting out of the applause because we've got to.
Can we turn that microphone off so that the other one will come on? Councillor Springer.
I realise that there's a cost involved in putting all this scheme together and looking after the car parks generally. But I'm a little bit, I'd like to ask a simple question. Have you done this just to raise some funds for Strat Hartlepool Council?
No.
Can I finish, please? Have you done this just to raise funds for Hartlepool, Strat Hartlepool Council? Or are you genuinely thinking about the welfare and the business and all that goes on that people go to Seaton Carew for? Have you really thought, is this your motive or is it finance? Can you please be honest? I'd like to ask Denise this question, please.
The report was initially as part of a regeneration programme, what we're actually looking at for Seaton Carew. We have 2 groups called Coastal Communities, and those reports go to Regeneration Committee. It would be wrong of me to say that finances aren't involved in this. You know the position that the council's in. We've got to find £20.8 million over 3 years. However, what we have done, the car parking budget doesn't achieve its target that it currently does, and the details of which are in the report. So what we've done is we've been fair across the town. We're not targeting one specific area, and we've also taken on board the regeneration ambitions for Seaton. In response to the points raised about removing equipment if the experimental order proves not to become permanent, the details are included in the report, and the equipment will be reused across the town as replacement. We will store those equipment and actually reuse it. So the details are listed in the other finances of the report.
Yes, George?
Well, I hear what you say, Denise. I really feel very reluctant to vote for this. It's a reasonable charge, actually, but it's just that Seaton Carew isn't blessed, I don't think, with the numbers of people that we get here in Middleton Grange, which might justify perhaps why we do it there. But the people I feel at Seaton Carew, the businesses and all, it's not enough to generate enough money to make any difference, much difference to the council. It would be better that we scrap, not bother with this, and let the people have it free.
Yeah.
Let me just respond, George, to the question that you initially asked.
Okay.
Right? The fact of the matter is that shops in Murray Street all pay parking permit
I
charges.
know.
They are no more footfall than at Seaton, probably they get less, but they pay permit charges. Their staff pay for car parking charges, or they have permits through their business, which are chargeable against their business, and therefore in some cases the taxman makes a contribution to that. So it's not all uphill for businesses. The intention running alongside the regeneration of Seaton Carew is that the place needs to be clean, it needs to be manageable, and it needs to be safe. Now at the moment, and if you go to Seaton Carew, and I do, you will regularly see cars parked on the chevrons in the centre of the road. You'll see cars parked on the pavements at both sides, and you'll see cars also parked in the 20-minute zone as a free car parking arrangement. That means that a person trying to cross that road, elderly, infirm, in a wheelchair, pushing a pram, actually has to pass 3 vehicles, and sometimes 4, before they can safely traverse that road from pavement to pavement. That can't continue, has to be dealt with. There's regularly issues around dog fouling on the front, even though there is no dogs on the beach for the same sort of period of time each year. We need to be able to send enforcement officers into Seaton Carew. Now, at the moment, those officers spend their time dealing with those areas of Hartlepool that are either in permit zones or the car parks in the town centre. By introducing this programme, it means that a presence will be available in Seaton Carew, and it won't just be a 5 or 6 day working week, it'll be actually a 7-day working week. The permits arrangements for resident zones were extended last year when we made them the same across the town without the subsidy in the town centre, and they were extended from 8 till 8 because some residents actually said at that time, and the committee took note of it, that if you work outside of Hartlepool and you come home after 6, your space had already gone, so it was extended to 8 o'clock. So staff will be working those hours in order to be able to enforce at Seaton Carew, because at the end of the day we do want people as tourists to come to Seaton Carew, we do want businesses to come to Seaton Carew. They won't come if the place is not safe to cross the road, and they won't come if it's littered or dog fouled. So all of those things need to be dealt with. And to be fair, in the round, I think that this programme actually brings in the availability of all of that. And therefore, again, in the round, I believe it does benefit Seaton Carew. Councillor Hunter, you would indicate to speak.
Yeah. Thanks, Chair. I just want to point out that whilst I appreciate members of the public will be looking at this as predominantly a Seaton issue, this is part of a range of packages that we've brought in right across the entire town that should benefit the town. Now, you know, personally, I look at the parking plans there, and I think the officers have done a great job of identifying the resident areas, the business areas, the 30 minutes free. The 30 minutes free, which are currently filled up on a daily basis by the business owners. So the business owners are actually stopping people getting into their business, which I find a bit strange, but that's where they are currently. I think there's an overall range of packages across this town that works. But the safeguard is in what's been said. This is a 7-month scheme, which can be then evaluated at the end of that 7 months. Let's not criticise and damn it at the outset. Let's look at it as the council's proposing at the end of 7 months, then take it from there.
Can I just ask, who else wants to speak on this issue? Right, because can you actually go back and sit down so that, because I need to know whether you are residents of Seaton, whether you're businesses of Seaton, or what the interest is, because I can't have 4 or 5 speakers on the same issue.
Business, so I would like to just raise my concern.
Okay. And can I just comment, Pam, you said you hoped it was shown in the ballot box.
Yeah.
And I'll just remind everyone in the room, there are no Seaton councillors present of any political persuasion.
Because they're all at work.
No, they're
I
not.
was going to say, some of them work.
There are none of them here, right? So the gentleman that came first that was invited to speak, give your name please and say what the interest is.
Good afternoon, my name is John Parker and I'm Secretary of Seaton Crew Bowling Club. This parking situation, I'm not good, is going to be not only my members who come and play balls in Seaton Park, but all the bowlers in the town who come and play maybe twice a week. Our situation is that we play on a Monday night, 6 to 8:30, a Tuesday night, 6 to 8:30, Thursday afternoon, 2 to 4, Friday afternoon, 2 to 4, and Saturday afternoon, 2 to 4:30. That's just the playing times. That doesn't take into consideration the time that you're down the green, set the green out, and also take all the scoreboards, the mats and the jacks back in the game. So it could be more than that time. Last year we had a lot of trouble with residents in Allendale Street and Farndale Road with regard to parking. People turning up to play balls, 6 o'clock at night, 6:15, parking in them streets, and yes, residents couldn't get parked there. So we asked all our members, and even members of clubs in the town, if they would use the car park. They are going to be, I think now I'm speaking for all the bowlers in the town, that they're going to be hit with the parking charge. Because you don't just turn up and park your car, you've got your bowls, which is a bowls bag. You could have 4 woods in, heavy, where are they going to park? Are they going to walk maybe a quarter of a mile to the green carrying a heavy bag? Bear in mind that most of the bowlers in this town, I wouldn't say they're old age, but they are of a certain age. So they're not going to be fit. And the fact is that on a Thursday and a Friday, it's the vets who do it, and they are all over 60. Also the fact that we play, and this is the Hartlepool Bowling Association, we also play teams from out of town. We have an East Coast Vets game where the Vets of Hartlepool Bowling Association play a team from the Collieries, as far as Bolton, and Sunderland, they come down and there's 24 of them plus the other people. Where are they going to park? So I think on behalf of the bowlers in the town, especially our club, I think we're going to be penalised and we're not in favour.
Just a couple of things. I fully accept your comments and recognise them. If you have a blue badge, you're exempt up to 3 hours, so you wouldn't be paying anything. Seaton Carew car park, which is where the car park, which is where the bowling green is, will still be free. You'll be able to use the disc, so it'll be light touch enforcement. And our main bowling club, which is actually at Mill House Leisure Centre, the users of that actually have to pay the same charges. So I think we're just trying to be fair across the board. I think you'd find some of them do, because you actually use the bigger car.
We use Hartlepool United ground.
Great.
Great.
Okay. So if you want to say who you are and what your interest is.
Hi, my name's Gemma Moore. I'm a resident and a business of Seaton Carew. I set up a dog walking business in April last year. Now, if you introduce the charge, it's going to cost me £442 to park my van on a daily basis to walk not only my own dogs, but the dogs that I walk as part of the business. Now, I don't earn enough money to cover that parking fee. Now, I know before you say, well, the beach is out of action during that period, not the end of the beach that I walk, which is heading towards the Teesmouth area. £442 it's going to cost me on that period of time, which I think is absolutely disgusting. Now, if I want to pay more in fuel to drive up the roads to Crimdon, then brilliant. But when I walk the dogs that know that area day in, day out on the beach, I believe that I should either be given a special permit, or you should really look at this, because it's not just my business, there's several of us that use it, and also the people that are the other businesses within the village. It's going to affect us quite bad. So just please consider it that £442. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's Northgate car park at the bottom, isn't it?
Yeah.
The apartment's still available for it. I take on board your concerns. I will take that on board when we do the evaluation. That's the type of feedback we want. But as I say, it's an experimental order at the moment, so they're free for this year, and we will take that on board, and that'll be fed in. And I know none of you believe that this is an experimental order, but it is.
Can I just say, when you keep saying that they're free, one permit will be free.
Sorry, Chair.
Right.
We only need one permit, I think,
Right.
for that business.
Okay, so if you want to sit back as a... Is there anybody else? Because I can't just have this, we do have other business to deal with as well. So if there are other people that want to come forward and speak, if you want to come forward, and then I'm not taking any more speakers after that lady. Okay?
My name is Norman Black. I'm a resident of St. Carew. Chose to retire at St. Carew for a reason, and one of them was the leisure facility in the park. Now, I just want to reinforce John's point about the park. My wife is treasurer of the Ladies' Bowls Club in St. Club. John mentioned that there were evening games on a Monday and a Tuesday. The ladies, they play on a Tuesday and Wednesday. They have people come from Middlesbrough, Thornaby, Billingham, Thames, all of them. And they put on, just as we attract when we go to Billingham, or whether they go to Thornaby, or whether they go to Middlesbrough, they put on a tea afterwards. So those ladies don't use it for 2 hours, 3 hours, they then need 4 hours. Because you know what ladies are like, when they get a cup of tea and a sandwich and all the rest of it, it becomes a social thing. It's social activity. Now, as well as that, I don't think there's anybody here from the Friends of the Park, but I think it will be affected as the Friends of the Park and all the charges on that car park. And when you say you get half an hour free, I think about all the kids around there, or an hour free. You get all the kids around there on the swings. Those kids enjoy those swings for a long time. Their families with maybe 3 or 4 kids, and those 3 or 4 kids that are taken around there, they really enjoy the park, which you spent money on, the council spent money on. You spent money on one facility, or 2 facilities, the Bowling Green as well, and now we're going to charge people for using it. My rates have gone up £70 this year or thereabouts. That's the minimum. If I pay for the 4 days that I go around, doing jobs in the clubhouse, which is looked after by the members, not by the council, although it's owned by the council, we don't do repairs, I'll grant you that. But 4 hours is the minimum length of time that we spend on there. John and I, we trim the greens and do our rest. The greens are cut by the council, but we're expected to help to maintain that place as well. And for all man going up £70 for the rates, anyone going around 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afternoon, right over maybe Friday afternoon and Saturday. At £1.50 for, what is it, up to 4 hours?
£1.50 for up to 4 hours.
Up to 4 hours. That's £128 a week? No, sorry, £108 a week, a year, over the 18 weeks. It's going up on my rates. I've already paid for the park. I think it's wrong. And I think you're doing the wrong thing. Take the initial cost of this in putting all the machines in. All the yellow lines that you're going to pay. All your wardens that you're going to, you just said you're going to have to pay more people to go there. I don't know how you're going to collect the money to get it back. It will not be for 7 months. Once it's installed, the cost of getting rid of the stuff, we won't take it out.
Okay.
I object to it completely.
I don't actually live in Seaton, but I go there every day and I'm on a limited budget. And I'll be kind of financially difficult to go there and pay parking every day. I can't see you don't have to start paying why you can't do what other towns do. Get your first couple of hours free and then start paying. And the same for the shopping centre as well. I just think it's grossly unfair. Like somebody says, the council tax is going up, bills going up, everything's going up. And by imposing these charges, you're taking away a lot of simple pleasures for people, like Bishop.
Can I just take your name?
Irene Paul.
Irene Paul.
Beautiful.
John, can you turn that microphone?
Sorry.
To get feedback after.
Okay.
I think these are these comments from the Bowling Green visitors are things we need to take on board. We're going to have regular consultations. I know this isn't an easy decision for members, but you know the position we're in. We are trying to support businesses. We are trying to take on board residents' concerns regarding displacement. We are trying to be fair and equal in Seaton as we are across the rest of the town. So it's, you know, I think members have had a good debate today, a number of recommendations, and I just ask members to consider them.
Okay. So if I can take members through the recommendations, right, and I will give you a preamble into each one. That Seaton Carew car parking plan for the consultation with residents and businesses, including the petition submitted on the 14th of February, be received and noted. Taking comments received into account, the following recommendations I put to the committee to discuss and decide upon. That an experimental traffic order be introduced at Seaton Carew covering the 7 months from the 1st of April to the 31st of October. Is that agreed?
Yeah.
Limited waiting on the front. This is currently free for 20 minutes. The proposal is that this be extended to be free for 30 minutes and that this brings Seaton Carew in line with other shopping areas across Hartlepool. Is that agreed?
Sorry,
Seaton
Chair.
Carew car park, the Seaton Park car park.
So I didn't quite understand that.
Going through the
Repeat that.
recommendations, George.
Yeah, that's
Which one?
the free parking.
At the moment, on the front,
Yeah.
there is a limited parking for free, 20 minutes. That's being extended to 30 minutes because all of the other shopping areas that have such a restriction currently get 30 minutes. And then Seaton Carew is being increased to come in line with other shopping areas in 30 minutes. Is that agreed?
Okay.
Seaton car park, the actual car park. It is not the intention of the committee to charge at this car park, as it is well used to enable people to attend at the nearby doctor's surgery and to enable families, mostly local, to enjoy the open space and play area. Therefore, there is a concern that by leaving this car park outside of the experimental traffic management order, cars could park here all day, so preventing the above uses being available to those who need to park here. Therefore, the proposal on the Seaton Park car park is to utilise a clock disc system restricting free parking to 1 hour at the Seaton Park car park. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Residents' parking issues. Residents in streets off the front and Coronation Drive already experience parking issues caused in the main by visitors parking in residential streets and by doing so preventing local families from having access to parking spots near to their homes. The introduction of car parking charges cannot make things worse for these residents, as in most cases they are already untenable. The current costs for residential parking zones across Hartlepool are based on an annual household charge per permit of first permit £5, second permit is £10, the third permit is £15, and the fourth or subsequent permits are £20 each. The proposals on this item are that from the 1st of April 2017, resident parking zones are introduced in line with the outline plan shown at Appendix A. That's the plan that's on the walls. Is that agreed?
Against.
That from the 1st of April 2017 to the 31st of March 2018, households receive their first 2 permits free. This means that for the average 2-car and a visitor permit household, the cost will be £5. Is that agreed?
Agree.
Don't we have a show of hands?
I'm unhappy about it.
Well, you need
Those
to
two
say,
things.
George.
Well, I did say
Right.
you need not acknowledge.
No, I'm not ignoring anyone. I'm asking, is that agreed? If you don't agree, you
Disagree.
need to say so.
Can we have a show of hands?
Right?
No, that doesn't.
That those households in the designated area of Seaton Carew that are already in a resident parking zone receive an extension to their current permits to bring them in line with this cost for 17 and 18, with any balancing amount remaining being carried over to 2018-19. Is that agreed?
No.
Agree.
Business parking issues. There are a number of small business, mainly along the front at Seaton Carew, who require parking to be available within a reasonable distance of their premises. This is no different to small businesses across Hartlepool. In other shopping areas in Hartlepool, the council has
Excuse me, you said, do we agree? But nobody's agreeing.
They are agreeing.
They're not, I can't agree them.
They are
Nobody's saying
agreeing.
yes. Nobody's
We don't have a
saying
vote,
no.
it's only the councillors that have votes.
But I can't hear you agreeing.
Can you speak up, members, please?
I can't see a show of hands.
I mean, we're here to be
Right.
part of it.
Right?
Not just sit here, listen.
Well, at this point, I'm sorry, but the participation from residents has already been had. It's now for members to declare one way or another whether they agree or they don't agree.
But we never got no say, basically, really. You stopped other people coming up to say what they wanted to say. You said that was the last person.
Yeah, because we've had a reasonable flavour of issues raised.
And I don't think we even really know which car park is free.
We don't know who's voting for and who's voting for against. Can we have a show of hands?
Can I just say that under normal circumstances, for members to decide whether they want a show of hands or not. Therefore, I ask from the chair whether that is agreed. If members don't agree, they need to say so, which is what I've already said to Councillor Springer.
Well, I've said so twice, and
Yeah,
It's been recorded.
but it's been agreed, George, and you're
From
against being agreed, being noted. That's why the Democratic Services
Okay.
member is here.
No.
Okay? Right, so
What page are we on, by the way?
Recommendation, paragraph.
you're on the recommendations, George. Right?
I got it here.
Can I start again on the business parking issue, right? There are a number of small business, mainly along the front of Seaton Carew, who require parking to be available within a reasonable distance of their premises. This is no different to small businesses across Hartlepool. In other shopping areas in Hartlepool, the council has introduced business permits. The current cost of this to small businesses is £350 per permit per year. This equates to a charge of less than £1 per day over a 7-day week. It is, however, acknowledged that the seasonal role of Seaton Carew should be taken into account, and the charge levied should therefore equate to 7/12 of the annual business permit cost, i.e. £204 per annum. The proposals are that for the period covered by the experimental traffic management order, i.e. 1st of April to the 31st of October 2017, the small businesses within the designated area, can we please deal with the business? I can just hear voices. So if you could please be quiet while we're dealing with the resolution. The small businesses within the designated areas of Seaton Carew should receive one permit free of charge. Any additional permits required should be paid for at the rate indicated, £204. This equates to a charge of less than £1 per day over a 7-day week. That the road behind the front coastal side be designated as one way in order for this area to be utilised by business permit holders. That the short length of road between the beach slipway and the front also be utilised by business permit holders. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Stay.
Abstain?
Yeah.
It's an abstention. Car parking charges. At our meeting in December, the committee agreed the introduction of parking charges at the car parks located at Coronation Drive, Rocket House